Okay, we have time for one more question.
All right, changing the subject completely, I would like to know from each and every candidate their opinion on Norfolk's petition for eminent domain. If opposed, why? And if in favor, why? For eminent domain. Norfolk's petition.
The question says Norfolk's petition. I think what we're talking about is the law, the state law that was just passed. Is that what we mean? The new law. The new law. Yeah, I think the new eminent domain law. That's what we're going to use. Okay. The reason that that law was passed, and I think one of the major reasons, was because of some of the things that Norfolk did when they were trying to get large areas to redevelop, like East Beach. And there were some people that felt they weren't fair in the money that they paid homeowners, and some homeowners didn't want to leave. This all started with Connecticut. You're probably really familiar with that up there, where people were forced out of their homes because of a development, commercial development that wanted right along the water. And so the question is, what do I think about it? I think that it's given homeowners increased protection. It's really needed that we treat our homeowners fairly. As was mentioned earlier, you know, home ownership is so important to most Americans. It's one of the basic, I think, values that we all look forward to. My young daughters are just, when they finally got their first homes, it was such a major thing in their life. What we have to be careful of, though, and the concern here in Norfolk, is there are still areas that are blighted, and now the ability of the city to go into those areas and clean out some of those areas is a challenge. They have to really go and work much harder to do that. I expect in a few years there may be some more discussions on this up in Richmond to change a few things, but right now, do I favor it or not? Yes, I do favor it.
I was very proud to support that vote in Richmond this year, and here's why. The Kelo decision, New London, Connecticut, don't ever forget it. We never want that to happen here in Hampton Roads, where they can come in and take our homes for purely economic development reasons. My parents live on a fixed income in a very modest house, and perhaps maybe some city might decide that it's not a desirable neighborhood and they'd want to come in and just grab my parents' home. We're not going to let that happen with this legislation. Sure, does it hurt the city? Yes. In some respects, maybe it does. You can't come in and make wholesale changes and wholesale sweeps and just steal a neighborhood anymore. What we can do is give the cities more tools in their toolbox to make some of these decisions. And here's an example. We're not using all the tools that we have now. Code enforcement. We didn't build blight. The Tidewater builders didn't build blight. It got this way through years and years of neglect. And that we have ourselves to blame for not going after these folks with code enforcement. We have certificate of occupancies we can use. When properties change hands, go in there, inspect them, and see if they're up to par. We have tools that we are not using that the city needs to be using. And that's where we start. And yes, they may not be able to grab a whole block, but if it's a home that's perfectly viable home in a neighborhood, they're not going to be able to take that parcel, but they can take the property around it. Why don't we let the Norfolk Redevelopment and Housing Authority, let them get in the business of maybe rehabbing and flipping some of these homes. You saw the article in the paper today. We don't have enough affordable housing. NRHA can step in there, have them rehab many of these homes, flip the homes, sell them, buy some more property, and do the same again. We already have a lot of the tools that we need. We just need to use them. Thanks.
Thank you. The laws that were on the books were giving the government far too much authority in this city. It is the government's responsibility, if they need to build roads, if they need to build a fire station, a school, etc., to pay someone fair market value for their property. But it is not the governor's job, or excuse me, the government's job, in my opinion, to take someone's property for the benefit of revenue, for the benefit of developers. I would have wholeheartedly supported the restrictions on eminent domain, and I'm glad that the majority of the Senate and the House voted to restrict eminent domain. Thank you. people should feel safe in their homes, and I supported probably 95% of that bill. I think was good. But we've got to look at what that new eminent domain bill does to the city of Norfolk and its future. The city's going to have a very, very hard time taking a very dilapidated, blighted, crime-filled building that can be in your neighborhood or East Ocean View, and crime builds upon crime. It potentially could set back redevelopment efforts for years or decades. And certainly, it's wrong for the city or anyone to take anyone's property, but there comes a point where the blight is so bad, you know, the crime is so bad, especially the blight. Right now the home has to be falling down. And look what's happening at Woods Corner. The city was not able to get its redevelopment plan in place in time, and now it's going to take a lot of hard work. You know, what happens in one neighborhood affects a lot of other neighborhoods. Hopefully we can make some tweaks in the blight area so that the tools are there, you know, to maintain the quality of life for all of our citizens.